Yeah, my background is, first of all, I grew up in the Netherlands. It's the bicycle paradise until I was 23, and I wanted to live in the country of Jean-Paul Sartre, the famous philosopher of freedom, because I liked the French language. So I moved to France. So I've spent most of, kind of half of my life in the Netherlands and then in France. So that's important to know. So I look at France, still through Dutch eyes, even though you become French when you've been here for so long. My background is social science. I studied psychology and philosophy, and that really you can notice that when you read my book, Why Not the Bicycle, for example, because I think these two disciplines are essential for any transition. Because if you want to transition, and I think that's what we're talking about, you need to think new. So you need philosophy, and philosophy is the art of amazement, of asking your questions like, why is this situation like this? Why is the city the way it is? It's not natural to do so. And once you've thought and invented the city of tomorrow, you need psychology to understand why people don't want to go there. Because if people like a paradise, Paris, especially a bicycle paradise, why don't they want to go there? And that's why I studied psychology, because I'm interested in human beings. So that's my background. And then my job is I'm diplomatic attaché for the Dutch government in the Netherlands at UNESCO. It's actually the permanent delegation of the Netherlands to UNESCO. But that has nothing to do with the reason why you invited me, because I have a double life. I'm also a citizen, very committed to active mobility, and so I started a bicycle association in 2016, just because I wanted to make myself useful, and I found it a bit strange that there were so few people on a bicycle, whereas it's a super practical, healthy, effective way of moving. And so I said, hey, let's invent some policy to make my city. It's a small city south of Paris. It's Fontenay-aux-Roses. It's just 6 kilometers from Paris. To make it to turn that into a cycling city. And actually I thought it was just would be kind of an activity, but it completely transformed my life, because now I'm talking about cycling and mobility and cities all over the world, actually. And it's a fascinating topic, and now that's where I stand here
But you also wrote a book regarding the cycling and the cycling policy as well, right? Can you maybe elaborate a little bit about your book?
Yes, it's called Why Not the Bicycle? I wrote it in French, Pourquoi pas le vélo? And I wrote it after having had almost hundreds of debates with people, especially all over France, but also in Belgium, in Quebec, in Canada, in Tunisia. I had lots of exchanges about how does a society change into a bicycle paradise? How does that work? What are the things that we're afraid of? What are the difficulties? And I had so many interesting exchanges with people that I thought it's a pity to just, to just limit this to the people in the room. I wanted to write it down somewhere. So what I did is I collected all the most beautiful thoughts that really convinced me, that I found really interesting, that opened my eyes, because I had to discover this. I'm not a city planner by training, so I discovered a lot of things, and so I decided to share this with everybody. So I wrote it down. It was very easy to do because I'm very passionate about it. It took me 3 years. And when it came out in 2021, well, this generated a lot of interest, because I was just lucky, because that's exactly when the bicycle boom just got loose. And so people needed people who had written and thought about the bicycle. And so now it's all over the place. It's being used as a tool to not only to convince, but just get a conversation going about cycling. Yep. And it's also a book that really that tells you our thinking mistakes, because our brain, our mind is not programmed to understand naturally transition. When you see a road, for example, that's full of cars, most people's minds will automatically say, well, you need to make it wider. But the truth is actually the opposite, because mobility, it's not just a number of cars or a number of vehicles. It's a behavior. It's a freedom. It's a choice. And it's up to us, governments, to orient that choice and to guide that choice. And that's what we're doing by providing shared mobility and also by turning the streets into people-friendly places. And that's what I'm passionate about.
Exactly.